Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Smart Marketing. And I am happy to be back and excited to get into some of these topics and the softwares that we cover on this channel. I want to start this week with ScrapeBox and its new beta. A lot of talk about that in my community amongst guys that do their own scraping. Now, one of the things I think happened is that people got a misimpression about the beta, that it was the solution to Google, because if you're using the standard scraper, the results with Google haven't been too good. And I think people are too focused on Google. Generally I would set mine to use Google, Bing, Yahoo, and Search.com. And I get a lot of results for all of them. But as I'm going to demonstrate, what ultimately happens is you kind of get the same results mostly from all of them. And that's why you get tons of duplicates. You don't necessarily need them all. And so right now I'm going to give my advice on at least what you should be doing in the meantime. We'll talk about the beta a little bit and where I think it's weak. And I'm your host, Big Dom. This is Smart Marketing. Let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at ScrapeBox. Now, when you're planning to do your own scraping, depending on your scenario, let's just think about logistics, because of course the questions cross your mind: how many keywords do I need? And then how much results do I need? Because when you get that results, you're going to have to clean it, removing duplicates. And you can see on the left side here, I've got a list just a little under 35,000. Now, just so you understand, and I take a list like that and take the entire thing, copy it, and I'm going to put it in the keyword scraper, and I'm going to select all sources. I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to let it run 4 levels. I'm going to start it, and I'm going to let this run like 24 hours. And then when I get the results from this, I'm going to combine it with this, and then I'm going to start harvesting. Okay? Because what I'm really looking for to acquire a total is somewhere from like several hundred thousand to upwards of 2 million. When I've got that many keywords, I'm in for a good run. Now, there's always going to be a little variation, because not every keyword list, as it scrapes to that level of volume, is going to always give you the range of diversity you need. But right now, before thinking about employing the beta, and we'll take a look at that, right now, I know that Google is not giving good results, and Bing almost none. Yahoo and Search.com will give you a lot of results, and that results will be viable, because what you need to understand is that even when you're scraping all these sources together and you hit a high number, 20 million, when you get done reducing that, it's going to, and cleaning it, it's going to be a few 100,000. What I attempt to do is get to 20 million to as much as 40 million. And so when I've got the final harvesting, I've got to come back over here, import, and what I'll do is I'll grab my last harvested session and drop it in there. Now you can see in this one, this was a smaller one, a 6,647,000. So let's just look at what happens when I remove the duplicate URLs, remove the duplicate domains. 144, dramatically reduced. Understand? And then there's always the get the entries which are not URLs. Could be a small amount entries when the host is an IP. And now you've got a list. Now keep something in mind with this list. These are not root URLs. I do not trim the root. I want the page that responded to the keyword search results. And here's why. Because now, when we go to get those contact forms, we're going to go to our add-ons and launch the link extractor. And here's where the rule of thumb kicks in. That 144,000 generally is only going to return half the number with the contact forms. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but you will average half. You need to follow the 50% rule, that everything you do from this point on is going to yield you 50%. Now, because I'm taking the URLs with the actual pages that responded to the search, there's value in them in that they may have links to other sites. So this way, I go internal and external, and I'll go 4 levels. And I'll get more domains more of the time, more contact forms by following and letting it go off on external links. You get a little better result. Okay? And with this, you can run this fast. I run the number of connections at 500, no problem. Once you've got that list, you're going to come back into here, load it, and export it, and then you need to take it to GSA website contact for verification. Okay? So those are the numbers you're trying to get. But now, if we're going to run the beta, it's important to understand that this is running as a single thread, not multi-threaded. Now, are they going to change this? Are they going to make it better? I certainly hope so, because right now, for me and for a lot of people, this is unusable. Just that you can get some Google results, the amount of time that you have to run to acquire those results, and you still wind up with lots of duplicates. And as you can see, they've added some more engines since the release. But the logistics to use this tool effectively and get sufficient quantities for marketing purposes is just not realistic. And unless ScrapeBox, changes their approach or makes this a better working part of the software, this is the main thing. So ScrapeBox, I hope you're listening, because even now, I'm a guy that thinks ahead. So I'm looking for opportunities of ways to use my development skills to potentially make product that is, or a tool for myself that's going to replace this. And ScrapeBox is a great product, but I don't need all of its plugins and add-ons. What I primarily need it for, like most, is to scrape websites and to get the contact forms or to get email addresses or other basic data. And these formats of how this is running in a single thread, I ran all of these engines overnight with a list. I only yielded about 1,200 sites. Not a viable number to do business with at any level. Okay, let's get a little sense of the timing here. So let me import some keywords. And there's only a 60,000 list. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to let it run that long. But as I indicated, normally I like several 100,000 to upwards of 2 million. So that being said, let's start the harvester. And I'm going to let the 4 of these go. And maybe I'll let this run an hour, and let me pause the video and we'll come back and then we'll take a look. Okay, well, a little more time went by and it managed to complete. So let's exit to main and look how many we got. 1,541,000. And in fact, I don't even think this ran an hour, because 60,000, not that much. Anyway, while we're here, let's take a look, okay? Because once we remove the duplicates, you could see it drops down dramatically in size. Now it's 39,000, and then I like to remove the duplicate domains as well, and look at that. So we only got 73,000, almost 74,000. I also will remove entries which are not URLs and which are not an IP address. Okay? And then, just to give you a sense of what the next steps are, for me, I will go right to the link extractor from here. And with the link extractor, because I'm not trimming to the root URL, I'm going to load the URLs from ScrapeBox, and I will scrape either 4 or even 5 levels sometimes. Now, what's the purpose? Because these pages that I've scraped, as you can see, these are full URLs to specific pages. And those pages responded to the particular phrase that was searching for them at the time. So there may be a link that relates to that phrase that takes them off site, and it does work. I actually get a better yield by letting it take a little extra time, run 4 levels, check internal and external links. And this way, generally as a rule of thumb, everything from here, the list cuts in half. So if I have 73,000, I'm probably going to wind up with 35,000. And when I go to verify them on GSA website contact, I'm also going to lose about half. It varies, but the average rule of thumb is 50%. So that's why I really strive to get several 100,000. Like I like to have at least 300,000 keywords to upwards of 2 million. And then you'll get a really good run. And hopefully, what I really like to get is a final harvest of 20 to 40 million before removing the duplicates. In which case, I may get up to 500,000 websites, which will now be ready for the link extractor, or more. It varies, but you know, it all is going to depend on the size of your keyword lists and the diversity, which when you start getting and growing them to such a size, you don't have a lot of control over that. But just to get this process. Now let's take a look at the Google solution, because we didn't get a lot from Google. I'm going to set the beta. I'm going to start the harvester. And I'm not going to change any of these settings. Let's, just for the sake of argument, we'll do just a Google for a little bit and see how that goes solo, and then add the other engines. Now, I'm just going to tell you, my experience of running all these engines just last week with a sizable list, I let it run overnight, and in the end, I only yielded about 1,200 websites total. Not a good number. But let's just take a look, see if I can get enough here to exemplify what's going on. So, we got everything, load proxies, clear, close, boom, ding, start. That's it. And I'll pause the video and we will come back. Okay, I apologize. I didn't realize I didn't have a sound filter for the desktop setting for the microphone. So, you might have heard my air conditioner on the last one, should be out now. And look, this is after almost 30 minutes. It's only gotten through the first 2 keywords with Google with searches. Sorry, this is way too slow. But wait, now that I've stopped it, let me add more engines. Let me run it another half hour. Because remember, with the original scraper, I still got some Google results, far more than this. And I was able to yield 73,000 after an hour with a 60,000 keyword list. So let me start this up now with multiple engines, and let's run it a half hour, and let's see what happens. And of course, even out of this first 20, we don't know how many are duplicates. I guess I could just look at these domain names. And yes, I see Children's Place domain in here multiple times. So right away, we know we're going to have duplicates. Let's start it. Let me give it another 30 minutes or so. Pause the video. We'll come back. And let's look at the yield. Because everything, as I've always said before, is metrics and logistics. I'm sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. But either way, logistics, metrics, whatever you want to call it, certain settings and values and quantities of keywords are going to yield you certain numbers. So in any case, let this run. I'll be back. All right, guys, let's go back and take a look. Okay, let's take a look at what we got here. I'm running all the engines. Let's just scroll down here. And look, I keep seeing the same ones. All except one. Oh, there it is, Google. Any more? Oh, there it is. Yep, okay. Again. Okay, seems to be improving because my last check seemed to be getting mostly just the other engines and not too much Google. So at this point, it's been about an hour. I'm going to stop it. Okay, everything has come to a stop. So let's export our URLs as text. We'll just say this was our child test. Okay, save, close. Let's go import and replace. There's my child test. Open. I've got 811. Not a good number, but wait. Remove the duplicate URLs. Now the duplicate domain. 295. Now, when you begin to understand the low quantities you're going to yield with the beta version right now, it just doesn't make sense at all to make use of it at this point. Now, ScrapeBox, if you're listening, sorry, your beta version does not seem to be moving in the right direction, especially without the multi-threading. However, in fairness, I realize it's just a beta, things take time, but I would put some effort back into the other engines. And let's take a look at the other engines, all right, for a minute, because I think that's important too. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just clear this, and we're going to leave our same list, and we're going to go start harvesting. Oh, my bad. Let's go back to the custom harvester. Say start harvesting, and let's select all. Let me run this for a little while. I'll pause the video, and then let's come back and take a look. Okay, I've had this running a while, and look, we've got close to, oh gee, happy, right? 38 million? Oh, okay. Let's take a look. I'm going to stop it here. This will probably need a minute, so I'll have to do another quick pause. Oh, there it goes. So, let us exit to main. Too bad we can't see the rest of that data, but that's okay. Let's close this. And we will just import from the harvester directly from the folder structure. So let's just give this a second. Ah, boy, there it goes. Pretty quick. Yes, look at that. 38 million. Look at all those YouTubes, okay? Watch what happens. First of all those YouTube addresses, they're useless. We're not getting websites out of it. So it drives the numbers up dramatically. You'll never get 38 million just running keywords, just with search engines. I mean, unless, of course, you have a big list. Not that fast, anyway. That'll take a couple days. So now, I'm going to remove duplicate domains. Okay. Now we're down to just 70,000. Ouch. So you can see. Let's just remove URLs with host is not an IP address and which are not true URLs. Now, this ran a few hours, so, again, there's some potential, but as you can see, what we got is 70,000. So, not a bad number, for some people if you're looking for individual use. But what you're really going to find out is now the next phase is, oops, hit the wrong one, is getting it into the linkage. And like I said, I want to reiterate this because these are not from the homepage. I don't like to trim to root before I do this. Look, it's just one level from any page to get to the contact. So since we're with a topic that we searched and got a page, we want to use that same page that we're going to pick up the contact form under the same domain to go out and look at the external links. So there it is. After that, we only need 2 hops, okay, at the most. So going 4 levels is going to be the solution here. And if I run this, what will happen is I will yield approximately half of these with contact forms. And that number will have to be run a check just to verify compatibility inside of GSA website contact. Okay, we've finished. Now, let's just take note here. See, we got a URLs loaded, 136,562, but we only had 70,000. That was the ability for it to crawl off site and gives us a better yield in the end. So now I can just exit this. And what we're going to do is go import, replace. Let's go inside. What I want to do is go inside our ScrapeBox setting folder and into our add-on sessions, into link extractor. Let's make sure we're on today's date. Shazam. Right now, I got 139,000. Let's remove duplicate URLs, duplicate domains, 42,411. Well, we definitely got a little over half. So that definitely drove things off, because most likely we probably would have wound up with 30 or 35,000 from this list. So taking this approach to go, let it crawl off site, get you a little bit higher yield. And you'll really see the difference in bigger runs. So, that being said, let's take it to the next level, right? Because what we really want to do is, let's export. Where can we save this? Let's just save it here. This is our test. Okay, and now what we're going to do, just so you understand, because some of the guys were asking me about utilizing, the check process, because you want to get the most efficient run. Like, look, here's one I got set up in here. I never ran it for whatever reason. But I can take this. What I'll normally do is take an old project and duplicate it. But I can just make a new one. Just go to the new project. Let's just call it test. The only thing we're going to be doing is checking. And we're not going to use proxies for checking. So we don't really have to do anything in terms of modifying settings in the project itself. So now we'll just import. I just put that in the root directory here. So there it is, test. We open that up. And there's our 42,000 websites, okay, with the contact forms. So now from this point, what I like to do, guys, is use Surfshark. We're not going to need proxies for checking. I don't check this option because think about what's happening. We're going directly to the contact form page. We don't need Google. We don't need anybody else. And we're only doing a verification. So we're not going to be triggering any spam filters because it's not going to actually fill out the form. It's just going to check that everything is compatible. So what I like is Surfshark. Surfshark is one of the most inexpensive VPNs, and you can put it on unlimited machines. So it's a really good deal. And one of the features that I really like is under, you can remind me later, but in my settings, you'll see here that I have rotating IP address. So what happens is every 5 minutes, my IP address is going to rotate anyway, whether I choose a location. And you just want to make sure if you choose a specific location from the list in the US, it may not have a rotating IP address option. So just, be clear about that. Or you just use the quick connect. It says I'm using an older version. Who cares? But in this process, all we want to do is do this. Start, check preset websites, and let it go. And with this, I like to go to the options, and I usually keep it around 200 for this process. I just change the amount of threads for that. And that's it, and let it run. Now this is, well, it's an old keyword list, but it's a fresh scrape. So let me just let this run, and let's just look at the results. And another thing is, if you only run a single campaign, you may want to disallow different projects to send to the same website. This way, you never have to worry about that you already sent that particular a particular ad, or however you want to label it, the attempted to sale using the contact form. You don't want to send to the same one twice. Once you got them, you want to get rid of them. So if you know you're going to only be sending to one thing, you can use this as an option. But of course, if you've got ScrapeBox, and this tutorial is covered from that angle, you can manage your own list with a master list, okay? And these can be changed while it's running. So let's just let this go. I'm going to pause the videos, and then I want to come back, and I'll show you the process to get it exported so you feel 100% comfortable. Okay, now we've finished this run here. We can see it's finished. So here's what we want to do. To extract the ones that were checked successfully, okay, as you can see, we've got, looks like 23,000 plus, almost 24,000 that failed. And we had some filtered. So we're not going to get into all that right now. I just want to kind of get the process for extraction and why to take this approach first and not just check and submit. And that's because you got to think about the logistics and the metrics of what you're using. You'll be using your proxies and using them more frequently for more processes, and they're going to burn out faster. So by going up to your tools here, we can now go select remove. And what we want to do is go here, successfully checked with or without capture. Okay, leave everything checked. And then what I do, I'm a big fan of Notepad, so that's what I'll be using. And then I'll just go okay, okay, and copy. And then it takes a minute for the data to load a lot of times. But because we have a small amount here, probably going to be ready to paste already. Let's just see. And bam, there it is. And we could see 16,260, and that was our number, 16,259. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, this list, this is ready to go, okay, with contact form pages. So when you set up your campaign, you're going to want to load this list in to just do your process for send a message only. And now you've got a list that's already been pre-checked. You should get high success rates with this. Oftentimes, right after the list is fresh, I get, sometimes, 8 out of 10 being good, just really good rates. So in any case, this conserves your resources by splitting up the process. You don't want to do them together. And everything that I outlined here in this video is for the bulk approach to getting contact forms. So if you're looking for the high quantity of volume, that approach, rather than trying to scrape for some particular niche scraping is a different process. And there's a couple of other ways we can go about that with ScrapeBox, but that needs to be in a separate video because that's going to outline their new mailing plugin. It also is going to outline using the Yellow Page plugin a little bit briefly, and what I think are my best tactics to approach niche scraping. And of course, you can do it with the core harvester and do some clever things by merging your keywords with some footprints. And those footprints could be just simply other keywords, which, for example, I have lists of cities and states and counties. So I could take a list of keywords and merge it with a list of city and states and then search it that way. So there's a lot of things we can do with that. But in this realm, for what we're doing in this video, and because of the things that really kind of came up in my Discord group, I wanted to really outline the process and just a couple of the steps a little bit better, give everyone a little bit of better clarification while taking a look at the beta tool at the same time. Not a whole lot to cover there in the sense that, at least at this point, it's still disappointing. And so ScrapeBox, I hope you're listening, and I hope, you're moving forward to perfect that. And in all fairness, guys, it is just a beta yet. I'd really like to see them do more with that. But like anything, I'm concerned. I know some other people are concerned, and we're already starting to look for alternative methods because I can't have the bottom drop out simply because ScrapeBox refuses to, have a multi-threaded approach to scraping. And, you should be able to scrape more than 2 platforms successfully. In any case, we roll with the changes in this business. We have to learn to adapt. There are always going to be things that change the parameters of our approaches, and we got to look for new and better ways to do things. And part of that problem-solving process is what makes us good at what we do with these softwares. Okay, guys, just the last couple of things about, I'm sure some of you are curious about my settings. So I use 500 proxies at a time. Proxy Manager, I keep it above, like it's not going to be running that fast when I'm doing things that running proxies. So I keep it like 350, 400, doesn't anywhere in that range. There's no reason for me to really max it up. My keyword scraper, I will max out to 200. My link checker, but when I'm harvesting, I keep it around 100, 110. I'll get a better, steady run. And it's important to understand that sometimes, especially when you've got a really big keyword list, to find your happy zone because your system is going to freeze. Make sure your computer is set to power off when you press the power button. Because if your computer freezes, you don't want to lose the data, okay? And probably 60% of the time or more, you're going to lose it if you just hold the power button in till it shuts down. It's not going to have a chance to write the data to the file, and you're going to lose everything. You're going to wind up with a 1K file, nothing in it. But if the system freezes, you just press the power button once and wait for the system to shut down. And it might take a little while. Sometimes the memory is so bound up, it takes like an hour, and I may have to press it another time and another time, but be patient. Let the system shut down by itself, and you will retrieve your data every time. In which case, once you're done harvesting, you're going to be able to go inside your ScrapeBox directory and go right into your harvested sessions. Now, and then what you do is you just sort, make sure you get your last file, and it's got a lot of data in it. As you can see 1K, these are failures, understand? So you don't want to see this. You want to see this when you're done. And that will help you get through those little glitches successfully. Now, I have 15 licenses, so I run slow. And they're not all doing the same thing all the time, but you want to get slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to be going, 500, threads, because the reality is you're just burning up your proxies when they fail. The other thing you want to see here is under my, I don't change my timeouts, but under the more harvested settings, I turn my proxy retries down to 1. Retry it once. If it fails, move on. Timeouts, I leave it the same, 5. Error retries, I turn it down to 1. If there's an error, retry once, move on. Because if you keep retrying and retrying, you're burning up your proxy resources, okay, more and more. It's going to have to keep switching. Max direct, only 1. That's it. And this is how I change my settings, just like this, off and run. I get a better result. Okay? Just some extra tips there. Now, I want to talk about how you really get more keywords because, like I said, here I've got 60,000, but normally I pay handsomely to Hrefs and every month, just under $300 a month. So I can download 30K files of keywords, and I'll take the keywords and I'll take the parent topics, merge them, remove the duplicates, and I'll wind up with maybe 35,000. Then what I do is, again, I take it to this keyword scraper. I take all sources. Look, you could see the spaces here. That was because I merged, and this will run fine even with the spaces in it. But generally, what I do is I import them into here first. So if I were to take this, and because, see what that does? Tightens that up. So now if I copy all selected, or copy all URLs to clipboard, go to the keyword scraper, paste it in. See, I don't have those gaps anymore. In any case, I'll let this run Google, 4 levels, and let this run about 24 hours, or even sometimes a little longer, and you'll see all your data fill up and bada bing, bada boom, but I'll cover that more in the keyword. Now, the thing is, for guys who are just running a one ScrapeBox operation, you're not going to be going out and paying $300 a month for Hrefs just to download keywords. It's not going to be, of course you'll have tons, but you'll never be able to use them all, and that's expensive. So what I really want to get into talking about is using GSA's keyword research tool. This is a great tool, so I want to do a video about keyword research and include going over this tool. This is a great inexpensive way to build some great keyword lists to start, and take those lists, put them in your ScrapeBox keyword scraper and really amp up the volume. You could do very successfully with just a one, ScrapeBox operation that you're doing to generate your own contact forms for GSA website content. In addition, I'm going to do a video that we're just going to cover the approaches about how to do targeted keyword scraping. Not keyword scraping, but website scraping. Guys, that's it for this video. Nice warm up with a quick review on the beta. And as you can see, it's clearly not a fix. The Google beta is not a fix for the Google for the standard scraper. However, like I said, you want to go where the money is and roll with the ones that are producing a lot, because you're going to get a lot of the same stuff you're going to get from Google anyway. And, this way we cover a few extra points, things that came up in the discussions we've been having in the Discord group. And you get an opportunity to see a couple little extra things, how I take you through the individual steps so you don't feel like you're walking blind for the first time. But these are good practices that help you do things more efficiently and conserve your resources. And so we'll start getting into some other stuff right away, because I am just in recording mode full time now with this setup here. Guys, this is Smart Marketing. I'm your host, Big Dom. Make sure you give us a like and follow us. And remember, I have the lists available at smartmarketing.biz. You can find that link in the description below. Have a great day, everyone.